the show, everyone. I am Angela Montoya, author of Sinner's Isle, coming out 10/31/23. That's October 31st, 2023. If you haven't pre-ordered, do you even care about me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just thinking about this right now. Like, if you have not pre-ordered,
No,
are we even friends? You know, thank you, Melanie. We're
I would
not,
say not.
right?
I would
No, absolutely.
I would say
We're not
dishonor
friends.
on you, dishonor on your cow, dishonor on your family. Mulan. Mulan.
Not the cow. Not the cow.
You know the reference, right?
Mulan.
Yeah. Okay, thank God.
Yes. Well, Melanie went there. She has cursed you all. I wasn't going to go that far, so, that's okay. Melanie Schubert.
Yes.
Melanie, hi, how are you with your Melanie's? Those who are just listening, Melanie's got her titties out.
I do. I do. And Shane, embarrassing fact, I actually tried to match this to my skin color.
I'm not gonna lie, Melanie. I wondered
I
about that.
did. So originally, what I've got, listeners, is some handmade clay titty earrings. I have to show you the others. I made a bunch yesterday. Hold on.
Okay. Melanie is off to get her titty earrings. I cannot wait to see this art.
Okay, so hear me out. There's a story. First of all, I just wanted a mindful thing to do that wasn't on screens for a break,
Nice.
So these
So
are
you go
yours,
right to
obviously.
titties.
These are coming to you. I started by just making these little comma earrings. And then I was posting about it, and my other Angela was like, she's like, oh my gosh, you could totally make some like this. And she was sending me a photo like you did today, which you might get one. You might get a pair like that if I can pull it off. It doesn't take my brain much of a nudge. So I was like, I think I could make her some, and that it would be fun to do it. So originally, these were the first titties I made. So they're for my
Oh, those are pretty
yeah.
titties.
And
Yeah.
then I was like, they were fun to make. So I was like, I'll make some more. So then I made a pair for myself. And I was just kind of like
Sure.
chilling. And then I was like experimenting with the different skin tones I could get and a different nipple color to make sure all titties were represented, big areolas as
Yes.
well. So I made 4
Yes.
pairs yesterday out of the clays that I
Look
had.
at you. Look at you.
It was fun. And
Yes.
I was surprised I managed to get like kind of any skin tone I could think of. I could blend the clays I had to make like a kind of close representation. So I don't know what I'm going to do with all these titties. Maybe I'll have to raffle them off. I should do like, are these your titties on the podcast? If you feel like represented by these titties, I'll send them to you. Do you like that idea?
I think it's great. I really do. I think this could be something great, Melanie. I think this needs to be explored more. We need peepees.
I,
We need some peepees. Did you do peepees
I
already?
made a pee. Hang on.
Of course you did. Melanie is off to get her peepee. Are they earrings?
No, it's just a free pee. It's pretty good, right? It's like I had clay. See, I told you I have the sense of humor of a 13-year-old boy. I had clay for 2 minutes and I made dicks and titties within 5.
I think this is going to be an explicit episode.
Yeah.
They all are, aren't they?
Yeah.
You have to explore this. I feel like this is perhaps a calling for you. You could sell those.
Well, that's what everyone keeps saying, and maybe the reason
the world needs some T's and some P's.
I'll see. I was like, maybe the reason I was seeing how many I could make last night and like whatever, I was like kind of thinking, could I open an Etsy store with them? But I was just like, I don't want it to become a thing where it's like another full-time job, you know? Like I kind of right now I'm just having fun making it for my friends, you know? So we'll see.
I
But
love this. Listeners, listen up. If you want a T or a P, you need to hit up Melanie Schubert.
yes.
Please slide into her DMs and say, I need a brown
Or
B
or better
or
yet,
a bright pink.
just so I'm not inundated with 100 orders from our listeners, better yet, are these your titties? Let us know. These ones do not have names on them yet. If you resonate with these titties, dear listener, you may be the proud owner of them.
I have to tell you though, when you're holding them up, they go right in front of your face. And so it looks like eyeballs, like right in front of you.
I know. It's depending on the angle they sit, they're like kind of look real sometimes. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, it's a bit of fun for now. We'll see if it
Good.
we'll see if it becomes more, but I think for now I just want to keep it as an actual hobby. You know what I mean?
I love that. I love this for you. I really, really do. And honestly, I have no hobbies. I'm realizing I have no hobbies. And books and writing and the pod, like all of those things are things I love, but it's not like a just for fun. Although this
Mm.
really does bring me so much joy
Yeah.
that I would just Zoom call you anyways.
Yeah.
But like but it's all part of the same thing. So having something outside of that is really great. So maybe I need
Yeah. Do you have
some
office works
some
there?
clay.
You should. It's honestly been really cathartic, like just having something tangible and it's very mindful and in the moment because you're like working this clay and then it's just office. Do you have office works there? Maybe not.
I don't know. We maybe at one point we did. I feel like it's a Staples now is what it's called.
Maybe.
But
It's
we have
literally,
things.
literally
We have craft stores.
Gotcha. It's literally these
Yeah.
little squares of clay that I buy about this big, and you just hand work it and cook it in the oven. It's so easy. And that's kind of where I was going with it. Like, yeah. I mean, they do say if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. And I get that too. But I also agree. Like,
Yeah.
for me, it was more the screen time of it all. It's all
Yes.
my work is on screens and I actually am more at peace when I'm not on screens. So how can we balance that out? Because,
Mm.
you know, if my hobbies are also on screens, like say you're just like watching some reels to unwind or like you're playing an on like chess on your phone or whatever it is. But yeah, it was or even like recently I've been finding TV irritates me because if I've been writing on the screen editing the podcast and then at the end of the day I'm going to sit down and unwind with TV or at lunch, my brain is just screaming like no, you're done. And so I don't want to ignore that
Mm.
anymore. I don't like it's
That's
been for a
good.
while now, to be honest, that my brain was like on the days when I'm especially if I'm editing, when I'm free writing, it's different because you're not immersed on the screen. But
Yeah.
when I'm editing, it's like, oh, like then you're reading screens, you're writing screens, you're podcasting screens. So yeah, it was just a nice, highly recommend, just a little bit of messing about with clay. And it's fun because you immediately have something that you made that you can put on some hoopies and wear the next day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now will you wear your titties out?
Oh, I wore
Out
them out this morning to get coffee.
And did anybody say anything?
I was, oh, did she? No, she commented last time on my commas. People
Okay.
love it. People love it. They can tell it's
Yeah.
like handmade. And the people
Yes.
who are into that stuff, they go nuts over it. Yeah.
I love it. I love it so
How are
much.
you?
Well, I mean, I mentioned it a little bit when we were chatting with Maya, but like
Mm.
the last few days, I've just been in this weird sort of like not depression, but kind
Mm.
of like, okay, so I don't want to get the name wrong because it's such a great podcast, but I think Jill too and Para like mentioned
I
it, but
already know which one.
the Publishing Rodeo podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So I have binged that whole podcast and it's so good. But it's funny because it's two hosts, and one, she got this like amazing book deal, and they have the same publisher, and then the other host, he did not. He didn't get a great book deal. And so they talk about how their publishing journeys have varied, and it's so informative. It's really, really great, but it also is
Depressing.
not heavy. But what was it?
Depressing.
A little bit,
Yeah.
because it shows the real side of publishing, which isn't always so fun, right? It's not always like big splashy deals and tours. It's, I only got this much, they want all of this from me, I'm doing everything I can, and yet still not much is coming from it. And so one of the episodes, they were talking about the power of the ARC, the advanced reader's copy.
Yeah.
And she was like kind of saying like, he didn't get any ARCs, and he felt like that really came to a disadvantage for him. And she got ARCs, and like a lot of them, and she thought that really pushed the goalpost pretty much, like really helped. And I was just thinking, oh no, like I'm not getting physical ARCs. Like, does this mean like, so my brain just started like spiraling, not because of anything they said, but your brain just goes, wait a minute, I'm not getting that. Like, does this mean I'm gonna fail? So and then you like, you watch the unboxings of other friends and you're like, oh, it's so special, and I'm not gonna, I'm not getting that, and still, who cares? I know, but like, because I heard like them mention how she felt like it was really, really important, I spiraled. And so I was just, and then it's just like stuff in the States and just social media, like I've just been compounded. It feels like it just like everything is just hitting me all like at once in these weird random things, not even publishing, but just like life, and being a mom and with kids that go to school in the United States. It's so many things. And so I was just like, maybe I just need a break from social media, from just all of it. And but then it was like this pressure of, well, if I take a break, I'm not gonna help sell books. And so I was just going,
it's a lot.
I was going through just festering in the worries that is like being a debut author, and maybe they're not even founded, it's probably just me being in my head. And so that's kind of what I was going through a little bit, and it wasn't even like, it's not even, at the end of the day, it's just a book. It's just the first book, but this is, I've never done it before, so I'm just kind of like weaseling my way through and trying to do the best I can, but I don't know what to do. So
this is the thing, like, you're already doing it, you're already doing all this stuff. And I think that like idea of like, you're such a hustler and you're so good at it. And like, I say this as somebody who had to learn it myself, that like, it's both. You're smart enough to know that if you hustle, like, it does make a difference. But at the same time, like, you're one human, and you can't do what like an entire fleet or an entire team could do just yourself. And that's why you just have to do it to the point it brings you joy. And when it starts to feel yucky, that's when you take breaks. Like, and honestly, like, I actually think that since I've stopped pushing myself to post meaningful content every day, I think my content's become more like kind of organic and just like, it's not every day and it's like quite sporadic. And I thought it would affect my interactions. I thought if I wasn't posting every day and it wasn't a reel and it wasn't with a pretty bow that people are like, that's Melanie, that like I would lose some of my community. But what I'm finding is the opposite. I'm finding the people who actually like give a shit and who I actually connect with, they don't forget you. And it might be like a few weeks or whatever, but they'll slide into your DMs out of the blue and be like, hey, titties. Like you see your earrings, you know? And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I didn't even realize she was still following me, you know? And,
Yes.
but I do understand the pressure. And like, I can't even imagine how intense it is being a mom in the States right now. Like, I don't even have children and I feel emotional thinking about that. And it's a lot. But I think your original favorite quote, there's a reason it calls to you to block out the noise, because a lot of this stuff, like especially for brains like ours, like the way we kind of, and that's the thing with a podcast like that, I actually chose not to listen to that podcast even though everyone was raving about it, because I knew it would possibly chip away at my courage to keep doing this. Because sometimes I don't think either of us are naive to the realities of all this shit, you know? And that's something people like, when people see like two goofy podcast hosts like us joking about dicks, I'm sure they think we don't have a care in the world. But realistically, that's what I was kind of saying before. Like, that's a choice. We see the heavy, but we choose to make light of it, because that's like, you've got one precious life to live. And I refuse to sit in the dark crying about it. I want to live it, you know? And it's fucking hard. It's a fucking hard choice to make, because sometimes you do just want to, and like, yeah, like I had a couple heavy weeks as well. And it's like, it can be a lot. And I realize though that when I have those heavy weeks, I'm generally overloaded by all the voices on TV, on social media, like constantly bombarding you with their opinions, their like pain, their hopes, their dreams, their disappointments. And yeah, I can only take it in small doses. And like, my husband said something to me the other day, and it just kind of like, it was so simple, but it blew my mind. And I think about it a lot now. Like, I had just visited some family and it was like really intense for me. Like, I don't see them as often anymore. And I was kind of like, anxiety levels were through the roof, you know? And I was kind of like ruminating over it after. And he was like, yeah, he's like, but you know, they're not here right now. And as far as your universe is concerned, they might as well not exist, because you're no longer in their space. So you don't have to keep reliving it. So I'm trying to like also block out the noise with that tactic. Just grounding yourself now, like you're in your room with Shangela the plant and your things that you have, you know, like, because I just don't think our brains were designed to take on all the pain of the entire world at once. And it's very understandable that you'd feel overwhelmed by it, you know, because it's a lot.
Yes. It is so much. And yes, that makes me feel better.
Yeah.
It's a a reminder to ground yourself a little bit, and to focus on what is directly around you, and live in that moment. And and I've been out of my head and out of my body for this last few days, and then just thinking of like, okay, well, what can I do next? But no, it's not that time right now. And I had a friend reach out and was like, hey, don't put pressure on yourself. You have close to 7 months until you pub. Like the last 2 months before you publish, yes, like put on your hustle hat. That's gonna be a key time. But until then, like, just enjoy the ride. If you need breaks, we'll be here when you come back. And it's like you said, even for you, like it's a sporadic thing, but the people who really matter stay, and they're
Yeah.
watching and they're waiting and they're, happy to reach out, and like and those are the things that I need to remind myself, focus
Yeah.
on, and you know it's easier said than done.
Oh,
I
100%.
constantly find myself out of my head, out of my body, and just like soaring into worry land, but I need to
Yeah, that shit
ground
is real.
myself.
It's real and it's violent and it's messy. And like, unless you're wired that way, where your brain takes those whirlpool trains, I don't think people can understand how intense it can get if you're not wired that way. But like,
Yeah.
meditation, my love, it probably saved my life because I used to take those spirals every time. I didn't know how to get out of those. Like, and it's not that it doesn't still happen. I'm naturally wired that way. Like, oh my gosh, I just had my period, and seriously, the last 2 weeks, you would think the actual end of days had been upon me, the way I was just like, oh, heavy with life, and just like everything irritated me, everyone irritated. And I was just like, oh, just so emo. And it felt so real. And in that when you're in that world, it feels more real than anything else, you know? So,
True.
and I think it's
Absolutely.
okay to have some womp womp days as well. Like, it's, sometimes it's okay to just have those moments where you just like let yourself feel shitty. But
Yes.
I think both of us are kind of like, we don't like to stay there too long because it's,
Yes. Because then we get lost in it, to be honest
yeah,
with you.
yeah.
And that, I think, for me, is why TikTok in particular
Mm.
can be a dangerous place, because it's so easy to get lost in it, because it's feeding you the things that you
Mm.
know are like, in not invested in, but that
Yeah,
catch your interest, catch your eye, and so they'll continue to give you these, um I guess for Instagram would be reels, but
yeah,
TikToks. And so much has just been about like legislature that's happening in the states,
yeah,
gun violence, like all these things, and I'm just like, oh no, like I'm going to explode. And then,
yeah.
and I'm not saying anything like, I don't want anybody to think I was saying anything negative about that podcast, because it's an
No,
absolutely fabulous and wonderful podcast. Like,
yeah.
I zoomed through it. However, because I wasn't in a good state of mind and I was
Yeah.
feeling insecure about my own stuff, I festered. Not because of anything they said necessarily, but because I latched onto one thing, and it brought me down. So, but talking to Maya honestly really was
Mm.
so refreshing, and we always leave these podcasts feeling joyful and like, razzle dazzly, because talking to bookish people is just the best thing to do. It's
Yeah,
healing.
it is healing. And just like, I was kind of overwhelmed that like I didn't realize that she like followed the podcast that closely, that she like
Oh yeah.
felt like that was so nice. Like, and I think it does, I don't think sometimes the listeners realize how powerful it is for us, like it is a tough journey for so many reasons. And I think it's always encouraging for both of us, like to have found this community.
Yes. Yeah. It's a
She was
beautiful
amazing.
thing. I know. I know it. I know. She was fabulous.
I just want to make sure that you cut yourself some slack as well.
Thank you. I will. Mm-hmm.
Go lay out in the grass and block out the
Okay.
noise.
But to be honest, there's like ants in the grass.
Well, go stare at your dumb goats with no thoughts in their head. Just join the goats for a little. And because, yeah, like,
Okay.
you know what the problem is with reels and stuff? They are 100% designed to hold our attention and like keep us there and feed us. I've actually started to click away. Maybe that's wrong. I've started to click away from the hot topic reels because I'm just like, once you click on it once, it comes again, another one, and then another one, and then another one. And before you know it, your whole fucking feed is full of political like torture and whatever. And you're like, it's horrible, but you've still got to just live your everyday life. Like for better or worse, like one day when I die, I want to be surprised. I don't want to be living in absolute fear and doom up until that moment, you know?
Yes, I love that. I love that. Titties out, walking into the world, head held high.
Yes, exactly. But I love you and you're doing amazing. Okay. Like, I can't, like, the pressure is a lot and I can't even imagine how much more it is now. You know, when the
Yeah.
platform's getting bigger, there's more expectations, but you're doing amazing. The world
Thank you.
is waiting for your book. Fuck the arcs. You know what? Some bitches get those arcs and they do nothing with it. They give it to a handful of people. You have sold more books already just by who you are. But like also, you've done it. Like take your little break now. That's the thing that I have to remind
Yeah.
myself sometimes. We've been hustling really hard. Sometimes just remind yourself, I've done the thing. I did the thing. You know, you've
I
already
did the
done the
thing.
thing. You
Yes.
you did the thing. So like some days you cannot do extra, extra, extra. That hustle that got you where you are, yeah, that's awesome, but you can't run at that pace forever. And that friend was very wise to say that because now you have to think it's a marathon, you know, pace yourself, stop for a wine by the pool, check your, oh, yes, you're still ahead of the pack, then join the run again later. Like you want to feel rested and, you know, I don't buy into this culture of like, let's burn ourselves to a crisp for the publishing industry. Ultimately, we're
Yes.
humans. If they want us to be crafty and creative, they have to give us the space to do it. Otherwise, it's just going to be
Mm-hmm.
rubbish that we produce after, you know? But anyway,
Oh, I love it.
I read
Damn.
somewhere that,
Okay.
yeah, you know, I read somewhere the other day about businesses and like how desperately they need creatives, but like creatives at a productive level are not good for business, but the business can't grow and expand without them. So, like, you actually at the
Mm.
top highest level, you need them the most, but nobody does uh I don't know, like the growth, the caring that you need for like a creative mind. You know, like I need shit explained to me. I need to be triple taught, you know?
Yes. Okay. Yes.
You know?
Yes, that is me.
I
Yes.
like, fuck, if somebody gives me oral directions, a second later, I'm like, what did they just say? I can never
Every time.
remember. But like, yeah, so
Every
like we need a bit of like extra care to get to that stage. But yeah, they need us. But they
That's
need to look
right.
after us a bit more because we're a bit of fragile souls.
Yes, we are sensitive little souls. Help us, please.
Help us, please. Now I see our time is almost up.
Yeah. So, speaking of a sensitive soul,
An
we
incredible
had,
soul.
we sure as hell did. And Melanie is going to do an amazing job of reading her bio.
Am I? Okay, I'll do it for you. In my head, I did it in
I'm,
that Mimi, do it for you.
yeah.
But yes, listeners, you are not even ready for the absolute fire that is about to grace your ear holes. We had a double session because it was such a great chat. So let me read this amazing bio. Maya Ameyaw was born and raised in Toronto by a family of voracious readers in a cozy little house bursting with books. A former bookseller, she currently works as a community arts writing group facilitator. In her free time, she interviews writers about their journeys towards publication for her blog and YouTube channel. Maya has edited several mental health themed anthologies for youth and adults with funding from the Toronto Arts Council. A deleted excerpt of her upcoming novel is featured in the anthology Brilliance is the Clothing I Wear, Durndon Press. Her contemporary YA debut, When It All Syncs Up, has been awarded grants by the Toronto Arts Council, the Ontario Arts Council, and the Canada Council for the Arts. She's represented by Leslie Sabgar and Julie Gwynn of the Seymour Agency. Yes.
Beautiful. Beautifully said bio, beautifully written bio.
For a
Beautiful.
beautiful human with a beautiful soul.
That's right. Let's get on Maya right now.
Yes. Hello.
Well, excuse me, coming with the bunny.
Here's Charlie. I just wanted to show you guys the culprit of my, you know, just a not great feelings, but I still love it. Here he is,
Aww. What's his name?
Charlie.
Harley.
Charlie.
Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie. So, I'm fostering him right now. He's not neutered, so he really likes to like just sniff around my feet and then just try and hump my feet, and I'm just like, not right now. Please just stop doing that. So he's gonna get neutered soon. I don't think he's gonna like it, but right now he's gonna go into his enclosure. But he likes to escape that. So in case you're just like, why am I getting up? It's to put him back in.
Yes.
Oh, Charlie. That is so cute. Well, I mean, welcome to the show, Maya.
Thank you.
Charlie stole the show, but luckily we put him away so we can focus on you. But okay, let me ask you, when it comes to bunnies or rabbits or whatever the proper term is, apparently I don't know what to call animals, but are they hard to take care of? Do you normally foster
Yeah, so the thing is,
horny rabbits?
I know you have a lot of animal fears.
Yes.
So just to let you know, rabbits, bunnies, they're safe. They're very sweet, as is portrayed in the media. A lot of people in the media think that they're stinky. They're not stinky. People just don't give them litters. And they can just be litter trained like cats. And so people just keep them in a small cage without the litter, and then they're just like, but my bunny is like free range. He basically is like a cat. So he's like a mix between a bunny and a dog. Sorry, a cat and a dog, because like cats, sometimes they want their space, and then dogs, they're very affectionate. So he's a mix between that, and he goes in his little litter. And very, other than the needing to be neutered, he's great. And I've had bunnies since I was a kid. So
Aww.
I'm learning today. Yeah, we had guinea pigs and like hamsters. Never again. We did it once. Those things stank. Like those things.
But did you change the cage, Montoya? Did you change the cage? That's what I want to know.
Like every day. And my son's room, like you couldn't close the door. You couldn't hide that rank. So maybe it was just us. And
that's funny because the thing is, I love cats and dogs. They're great. Their poops are a little bit too big and a little bit too stinky for me. So that's why I stick with the rabbits.
That is a valid reason. I'm not going to lie. Like living in the city, obviously this is like obviously uncharted territory for the podcast, but living in the city, we have to pick up our dog's poop and put it in the bin.
Yeah.
And I am not going to lie. There are some days where I am like, don't look too hard.
Like a steaming pile of just like, okay.
It's a lot. It's a lot some days. But welcome to the show. It's so nice to have you on.
Thank you. I'm really glad to be here. Like I have been a fan of your podcast for a while. I've always loved writing podcasts, and I discovered yours because Angela, we're in the same debut group. So I was just really thrilled. And then it was kind of like I already like listening to podcasts about writing, and then to hear you interviewing people in our debut group, it was just like a really nice experience to see like a little bit more about people that like I just see online. So it's been a really nice thing, and like I love how you guys have a little bit of time to like talk about yourselves. Like I know about like your fear of animals and all that stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, we have a proper mix of all the things. But that's so nice that honestly, it's really been so fun to get to know fellow writers and people in the industry and just kind of like see everybody's perspective and like where they come from. And, Melanie always talks about this, how it's really fun because we see all these like, the success stories, but we don't necessarily see all the work that went into it, the before. We see the splashy, news, but we don't see the hard work and tears and turmoil, and we like to hear about the turmoil beforehand, to dig on
Totally get
in.
it.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask you, like, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Did you always want to be a writer?
Yeah. So growing up, I was basically brainwashed into being a writer, but it worked out well. My mom named me after Maya Angelou, the writer, and she specifically told me that a lot, And then she's also like, there's no TV in our house, and we have lots of books here. So you're going to be reading these books. It
Yeah.
was a
Good for
different
you, Mom.
experience
Good for you, Mama.
Wow.
because growing up without a TV, it was difficult because everyone else in my school had a TV. They were talking about TV shows, and I was just like, yeah, I just don't know what's going on. I was very angry at my mom about that for a while when I was a kid, but I grew to love it.
Yeah.
It was Stockholm syndrome, I guess. But
Do you have a TV now? Like now that you are an adult?
I do. I definitely have a TV now. Um, yeah, so growing up, it was basically we just had hundreds of books in our house. That's entertainment. And if my sisters were being charitable when I was very young, before I could read, they would read books out loud to me. And sometimes we would read like longer books. And instead of like being like a family sitting in front of the TV, we would be like a family sitting in the living room reading entire novels to each other. So it was a very unique experience, and it was definitely formative for me because like whenever I was thinking, hey, like I want to like I have this idea for a story, I would just like write it. Like it was like I was able to like start reading early because like sometimes we would read together, sometimes they're reading on their own. I'm like, damn, I guess I just gotta figure out what this means now. So I just started like reading early, and then I just started writing, and it just went from there. So yeah.
Wow. I am fascinated by this. And I have to say, my little writer heart is very charmed by the image. Like young me, we also had like we had a TV, but we had restrictions on how much we were allowed to watch. And and at that age, it's just like the worst, like the end of the world type thing that you
Oh
couldn't watch
yeah. Yep.
X, Y, Z. There was a lot of shit. I grew up really conservative. There was a lot of stuff I couldn't watch that everyone else was. I didn't watch Harry Potter. Not that that matters now, but like I didn't watch Harry Potter until I was like 20 because we were like told it was like super evil. But yeah, like
Yeah.
there's another part of me as an adult that's like, I love that image of you like as a family, like reading to each other. Like it's so much more like present and personable, even though I'm sure young you had beef with it. But I'm like, it's kind of really beautiful actually to hear.
Yeah, I know it was formative for me because I know
Mm.
that if I didn't have that experience, I probably would not be into reading as much.
Mm.
Yeah, with my ADHD, like it would have been probably very hard for me to like have an initial interest in reading. And even like growing up, I was always the person in the friend group being like, hey, look at this book. Do you want to read it? Like my friends, and being like, hey, I wrote something. You want to read it? So I feel like I with that experience, it helped me like get reading into like my and writing into my everyday life.
Mm. Wow.
I love this so
Yeah.
much. Especially I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum. My like TV raised me. If my parents didn't have to see me, that was great. So I was always just glued to the TV or just out causing trouble. So I love the idea of like a family sitting together and reading. It's a beautiful
Yeah.
thing. Now, when did writing like serious, like writing down like a book or whatever it was, when did that start like becoming a serious thing where were getting ready to query? How did that process start for you?
Mm.
Yeah. So when I was a kid, it would always be like, okay, I wrote something. Let me share it with my family. Let me share it with my friends. And I found that um, process very satisfying. So I never really looked into querying beyond that, which I know sounds weird. I was just like, oh, I got feedback. And also I was on fanfiction.net. I was on fictionpress.net writing my original stories based on X-Men, based on Animorphs. You guys probably don't know what Animorphs is.
Yeah, I do. I
I
do know animal.
oh
Well, now I'm embarrassed, but okay.
No, I grew up on that too.
Okay, I'll let you describe what Animorphs is to Angela because I've described this to people and they're just like, "You are insane." I don't want to. I don't know what that
I
is.
don't know if I'm a mega fan enough to describe it, but wasn't it like I remember the books and they were like very dodgy, slow morphs into animals, right? They all each had like an animal that they like literally animorphs. And so they all had
Yeah,
animals that they morphed into and
terrifying.
like solved like petty not crimes, but like mystery type
Crime.
stuff. You know, like superhero mysteries, like such and such has
Yeah,
like a Fantastic
it was
Four type stuff.
no, yeah, it wasn't like Nancy Drew. It was like
Okay.
it was
Because I've got the
there was
visual. I've
Not
got the visual of like
crimes. Petty crime was the
it was
wrong
the
word. I mean
evil.
like
It was
kitty
the
crime.
evil alien crimes. It was the
okay.
evil alien crimes. Yes, because I don't know if you guys know the host by Stephanie Meyer, the author of Twilight.
Yes.
The host, it's basically like stolen from Animorphs
Uh,
because it's the antagonists in that are like parasitic creatures that go in people's brains and they take over humanity secretly. And these kids in the Animorphs were trying to fight against the parasitic aliens
That's
who were taking over
ah.
people's minds.
Okay. And
Yeah.
so yeah, that paints a little bit better picture than what Melanie had for me because
it's been 10 years.
I do love crime solving. I love Nancy Drew, so that's great.
yeah, I just imagine them like a human like morphing into a rhino wearing like, like a suit and like a hat. And he's like, but that's not it. That's
Okay,
not
so
what it was. So.
it was alien crimes. My bad.
Perfect.
Yes, exactly.
Now, when you were doing fanfic, because we've talked to a few guests that were doing fan. Now, were you doing it like they were falling in love with each other, or were you just like doing offshoots? Like were they hooking up in your fanfic, or what was happening here?
Yeah, there's a lot of romance in my fanfic, but it's like that fanfic community was large. There was a lot of people on there, so I would get inspired by other fanfics that I saw. And what I also liked about that Animorph series in general is that the fact that they had like a black female protagonist in that series, which was rare when I was reading, and I was reading a lot, so it was kind of like a little bit disappointing. It was like, oh, I just don't see people who look like me in anything that I'm reading. But I really did like this series by Catherine Applegate is the author, and yes, she was basically like the series was told from different points of view, and so it was like very culturally diverse. And this was in like the mid '90s, so I was just very impressed with that. I was impressed with the fact that like there was this very cute romance between the black Roman main character and one of the other characters. And they had a very authentic relationship that didn't have any weird racial undertones for the time at all. It was good. So I was just very happy with that. And yeah, I was just like like I've revisited this series like Animorphs, and like there's this thread that kind of like details what happens in every book that went viral recently, and like the author was like commenting on it, and I was like, damn, I didn't realize how weird and messed up this book was because I described what it was, but it was also very violent. Like it was just like all the alien battles, it was just like very just like war crimey for like middle grade. It's just like a lot. So, but yeah, like I feel like the overall the series did help me in terms of like getting me inspired and like reading a lot. But I definitely have had to change my writing style a lot since then. But yeah.
Funny. Oh, sorry, Melanie.
No.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
we're
you
family
go.
now. It wouldn't be right if we didn't talk over each other. This is our
Yeah.
No, I just
That
love
is true.
to hear
That is very true.
I just love to hear all the little things that like inspire us. And like sometimes it is something like far back from childhood, like Animorphs, that like has some powerful thread that like calls to you with alien gore or no alien gore. I feel like when it's not actually people, the amount they get away with, well, not get away with, but the amount that's easier to consume when it's not people being like violently dismembered and stuff. When it's aliens, it's kind of okay. But I want to ask, what made you decide to query in the end, and what set you, because you said you kind of initially weren't looking at that. You were just like happy sharing it in those spaces. At what point were you kind of like, actually, no, like I want to get published. I want to like follow that path.
Okay, so I guess it's a little bit embarrassing, but I didn't really know what querying was until like a couple years ago because I was just like, okay, people get books published, right? I'll figure that out somehow when I have a book that's actually like I want to figure out how to get published. So I was writing my fan fiction, and then after that, I wrote some original fiction based on the Animorphs. And I was just like, I was on fanfiction.press living. I was getting hundreds of comments about from people who loved the fanfic, or not the fanfiction, the original fiction based on animals.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I was just like, this is it. Like, what else could I ask for? So I wasn't even thinking about like, okay, like how does this become a career? I was kind of just thinking like, this is my side hobby that takes up most of my time, and it's like, and then I just had like, okay, like I'm gonna go to school and do other stuff because I would never even dream to tell my parents like, oh, I'm gonna be a writer. So I just kind of went to school and did all that stuff. So I had like had this very involved like series of like, so it was kind of like X-Men, but it was like ancient X-Men where like they evolved in ancient times and they were secretly saving the world while people didn't know about it, type of thing. And maybe I'll revisit it in the future, but it was kind of like when I was a kid, I was a pure pantser. And it's like, you cannot pants a fantasy series. Nope, it doesn't work. I don't think anyone ever has done. So I just like wrote like a book and a half, and then I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm, focused on, university right now, so I'm gonna stop. And then after university, and then I was like working for a few years. It was really the pandemic where I was like, oh, I have more time to write, and like that's when I kind of focused more on my writing. And by this point, I wasn't thinking about my fantasy series. I was just writing a contemporary romance book. And that's when I kind of was just like, okay, well, I want to do this, but at the same time, work is like, I would always be like telling people, like, hey, I'm going to write a book. I'm writing a book right now. But like, was I actually writing a book? No, I really wasn't. I really wasn't writing it until 2020. And that's when I kind of had more time because I was working from home instead of like in the office, just overwhelmed all the time. And that's when I kind of like focused. I'm like, okay, let me get this entire thing out. And I connected with Louisa Onome, who is the writer of Like Home. And yeah, so basically, we happened to live in the same city. We went to an event together, and I was like, "Yeah, I've always wanted to be a writer." And she's like, "I have a book coming out." And I'm like, and so I was just had a million questions for her, like, and she just answered them all without any hesitation. And then like that's how I started getting into it. I'd already been listening to some of these writing podcasts. Like I was very into 88 Cups of Tea. That was the first one I got into.
Yes.
I was obsessed with that for a while, like 5 or 6 years ago. And then I was listening to Sarah Inney's podcast, First Draft. She has a yeah, so she has a fantastic podcast. She just interviews all of these amazing YA authors. And I that's how I first heard about Pitch Wars. And so in 2020, I was like focused on writing my book. And I was like, okay, this is the year I'm going to enter Pitch Wars for the first time. And I was super excited about it. And I had my friend Louisa, and I was like, can you help me like reread all like can you help me with like revising? And she was so just like lovely about it. And like so in Canada we have like a grant system where you can like apply for grants and have people help you with your revision and process.
Wow.
And so she agreed to do that. So we did all that stuff. And it's like, okay, we've done all this. Now I'm going to enter Pitch Wars. And then in 2020, I did Pitch Wars, and basically I got a request, and I was super excited about it. And it was from JL,
Nice.
who did Wings of Ebony, and she actually recommended me to another author, and it was Gabrielle Martins, and she gave me some great feedback. She didn't end up choosing me, but she still gave me great feedback. And I was just like, I was still like amazed because I know how tough the competition is with Pitch Wars. Yeah. So I was just like, this is just amazing that I got any feedback on this at all. So I just kind of like took that feedback and kind of went with it. I was like on Twitter all the time at that time because I was just like in my house because it was COVID. And so I just met a lot of people, even though I didn't actually get into Pitch Wars. I was talking to a lot of people through that. And I just kind of like kept going with that. And then after I got that good feedback, I'm like, okay, I'm going to start sending out queries. And when I started sending out queries, I actually like got a full request on my first 2 queries, which was kind of crazy. Yeah.
Amazing.
I was just going to ask about after your request, how long until you found your agent?
Yeah, so I just felt really blessed because I know there are people going a decade and more querying, and it's so difficult. The industry is just getting tougher and tougher each year. And so that's why I was just like, in the beginning, I was just like, I'm gonna give people some advice on like how querying works. And it's like, I can't because it's so different. And I feel disingenuous telling people like this is what I did and this will work for you because it won't, because it's harder now. So with me, it was very serendipitous, the situation, because when I started querying, the TV show Tiny Pretty Things had just come out around that exact same time. And it's a Black ballerina book that turned into a Netflix show. And literally there were like like manuscript wish lists, like things on Twitter from agents. It's like, I want this. And they linked a trailer. And it was like, this is what I already have. So that's kind of like
I gotta chill.
Yeah. It worked out well because like, you know, it's kind of like you have to see what agents are looking for and what the industry is looking for, and it happened to just really line up. So that really helped. It did take me about like 8 months to find my agents. Yeah.
Amazing though. I mean, and the fact that it's interesting. I always find that not trends, but there's certain stories that seem to pop up kind of around the same time. And it feels like the universe is just like asking for more of these sorts of stories. And it seems like that's kind of what happened here. And it worked. I mean, here you are. I can see your beautiful book behind you, peeking out every once in a while. So can you tell us about your debut novel, It All Syncs Up? I saw your post, I believe it was today, with you holding it, and it is so beautiful. The colors, like, it's gorgeous. So can you tell us a little bit about your book?
Yeah, thank you so much. So yeah, I did get my final copies this week, which is super exciting because I for my arcs I had like just a title cover with no illustration. So this is the first time I've seen the illustrated cover in person this week.
Wow.
So it was really exciting. I yeah, so I've always seen like people doing like unboxing videos, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna do one. I'll invite my whole family over to my place and we'll do one. But then when my box arrived, it was like half smashed in. Because I guess the mailman was just like, oh, and just like threw it on my porch and like destroyed it.
No.
So I was just like, I can't wait until my family gets here. I have to see if my books are okay or not. So I just had to open it first, and I couldn't do a full unboxing. So
curse you, mailman.
Yeah, don't they know that's like your babies in there, your page babies? So mailmen,
they had no idea. Yeah.
It's like they know when it's something precious, they like ding up the box, and I'm just like, every time it's something precious, I just have to ask when it arrived and you had your family there, because yeah, like as you mentioned earlier, they were kind of like, you know, gently nudging you, hard nudging you into the direction of being a writer. What was their kind of reaction to like their baby girl has a
Yeah,
book
so
imprint?
just to clarify, like because it was damaged, I couldn't wait until they could come to my house. I had to open it immediately. So that I didn't get to have that experience with them there. But like
Mm.
it's still okay. Like I was still like talking to my family the whole time and they were just super excited for me. But okay, getting back to like Angela's question about like what the book is about. Okay. So I'm really bad at talking about this, but I'm gonna do a really good job right
Yes, you
because
are. It's going to be perfect.
usually I just say, "Oh yeah, I wrote a book about a black ballerina, and it's great." And they're just like, "We need a little bit more than that, you know? Like we love black ballerinas." Okay, so basically, it's about a black dancer who goes to an elite ballet school, and at this elite ballet school, she's one of the only like people of color at the entire school, and she's getting bullied pretty badly by her peers. And then her instructors are kind of passing her over for roles that she deserves because ballet is an industry where you need to not have melanin to succeed, and it's kind of put into what ballet traditionally is because um, there's something called the line, and you cannot break the line. The line means that like you have to have people who look the same shade in a line to
Hmm.
complete shows. And so this is something that you know, dance directors will cite as why they did not have people in a show because it's like you were not light enough to be in the show. And
What the
the
fuck?
people they were saying this to, Misty Copeland, these
Mm-mm.
are the people they were saying. So Misty Copeland is like a famous black dancer, but she's also extremely light skinned. She so kind of like if you don't like yeah, so she, very similar to like Meghan Markle type of situation where Meghan Markle she's mixed. People some people know like if she didn't say her race, she might not know her race because she's so light skinned. This is the same thing with Misty Copeland. And Misty Copeland was still excluded from shows for being too
Wow.
dark.
What the fuck?
Wow.
Um,
I
so
had no
that's kind of like
idea.
the discrimination. Yeah, that's the discrimination that kind of goes on in ballet. It's like just historically and to this day. And I really thought this was an interesting concept because I
Hmm.
first heard about Misty Copeland talking about this in 2020. Basically, you know, in the summer of 2020, she kind of publicly talked about the fact that she was passed over for like huge roles because they're like the directors were like, she's too dark and she can't be in this.
Mhm.
Um, so I had already been writing like a contemporary YA book that I was just like, okay, I just want to see like some black girls in contemporary YA because I don't see that. But I
Yes.
didn't really have like a plot going. I was just like, it's just very vibes and that type of thing. But then I was watching something about Misty Copeland, and then I watched this other documentary about Michaela de Prince, who is mentioned by name in my book, and so she is a ballerina as well, and she is a darker skinned ballerina, and she's had like a very difficult time breaking into ballet, but she's probably one of the most successful ballerinas in the world right now,
Mhm.
and
Wow.
just kind of like seeing her journey of like she basically it was very difficult for her to break in obviously it's just like they just don't really accept people with darker skin tones at all. It's like a hard line type of thing. There's still a lot of racism in like European companies, um and there are a lot of male dancers of color breaking in but still not a lot of female dancers of color breaking in because they are typecast as more masculine because
Mm.
of their skin tone. Yeah, I don't really know what that means, but yeah. So I just thought that was a really interesting thing because like I'm a dance fan, so I already know all of this stuff. I have pretty severe asthma, so I'm like not a professional dancer. Also, dancing for like professionally is expensive. So I just thought this was really interesting. So this is why I decided to write about this.
Mm.
Wow. Well, that's good on you for writing this, to be honest. Did
Yeah.
you ever, this is very niche, but did you ever watch Dance Moms? Well, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was obsessed with Dance Moms, still am, but I like very clearly remember because like Dance Moms will come up on TikTok every once in a while. And I still clearly remember Nia, who was like pretty much the only Black dancer of the original girls, the young girls. And Abby Lee Miller would always only give her these roles that were like very, like, I don't know how to say it, like very like, they felt racist, to be honest, like a lot of it where, she was wearing, what was the song? It was like Boom Quisha or something. And it was like she was all of these things which she loved, but I remember her mom always kind of looking and just being like, really, you don't want to give her the beautiful lyrical? She can dance the lyrical, she's got the moves, but you'd rather give her these roles, that fit this mold of what Abby Lee Miller was expecting. And I just remember thinking, even back then when I was watching it, like, why? She can dance, she can outdance so many girls. And so to see you write this story, I want to say would almost feel like a big FU to a lot of those dance moms and dance teachers that really do, pigeonhole, whatever the
Yes,
term
yeah.
is. Girls, whatever the damn term is, okay? I don't know what it is, but the dance teachers, dance moms that would put those girls just in those specific roles. It's a lot of times, even in Hispanic cultures, you see men are always like the cartel members, right? So it's like the same role that they're meant to play, but they can play so much more. And so, seeing your beautiful cover is so inspirational and necessary.
Yeah.
So thank you for writing this.
I appreciate that. Like, and in terms of like the Abby Lee Miller of it all, um, the main character's mother is basically, like a clone of her, just like the worst, just like so toxic, just like all of the dance moms combined. And I just did that, like, okay, I just did that because of the fact that, like, as a kid, I experienced bullying, but never within my own family. And I just could imagine how bad that is when your own mom is just like you, like just treating you the way that the outside world is. And so that's why I wanted to kind of like focus on that. And so I was kind of like the character just had like one of those really intense dance moms, and that really messed her up. And it kind of talks a lot about the side of like eating disorders and what can happen in that world as well. So that's a big component of it. So that was kind of like a big part of like this story, and that like for me personally, it was just kind of like outside people who were contributing to that for me. But yeah, I just kind of always really emphasize with people who can who have dealt with that type of thing within their own family for sure.
I just recently read I'm Glad My Mom Died. You know that book?
Yeah.
And it's got that vibe of like, the mother is just like terrorizes this girl into like having, like you said, like eating disorders and stuff. So yeah, like you had me at hello. I can't wait to read this. Like it sounds freaking incredible. And yeah, just like congratulations. Like I can't wait.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah, like honestly, this was a really hard book for me to write because I'm just like, I'm trying to separate myself from this character. Like, there's a lot of people who just they write books and they're just like, you know what? I'm just gonna put myself into it fully. And I'm just like I really admire people who can do that. I'm not one of those people. I'd like to separate myself from my stories a lot. Um, but I feel like I was able to kind of like put some different things that I could like like with the whole mother thing. Like my mom is like basically my best friend. Like she never did anything thing like that because she had a mom like that. And instead of going that way, she went the complete opposite. She's like, we're not doing this. And she raised me so well. So and like she never made me feel like I was less than or like I needed to be something different. And she always just like I said, yeah, she was just like, no TV, you're reading a book. This is what's happening. So yeah, I just feel really blessed with that. But like I feel like I'm I'm just trying to like put myself into the shoes of like people who dealt with that. And in terms of like stuff with bullying, like it is pretty personal because like I've had situations with bullying where it's just like I went to an all white school and
Mm.
it was it was very difficult. It was really difficult. I went to an all white school that was also rich and I was poor
Mm.
as well. So that really like just amplified things to like a level where
Mm.
like it was just difficult to deal with.
Well,
Mm.
I see our time is just about to like cut us off. Is it okay if we maybe come back in just a second and finish this recording? Because I
Oh
know
yeah,
it's
sorry, I
gonna
think
cut
I
us
just
off.
sorry about that.
Hello.
Welcome
Hey,
back.
sorry about that.
Well,
I forgot about the time. Sorry about.
No.
no, it's fine. We were just talking about that, how it felt so fast that we weren't even paying attention to the time. We were just paying attention to you and what you had to say. And so it's perfect. It was perfect. So but let's get like right back into what you were saying. You were talking about your school life and how that kind of affected you and inspired you.
Mm.
Yeah, definitely. So during that time, like it was interesting because I feel like a lot of people during trauma, my brain kind of protected me in a way because I don't remember a lot of things that happened. I know it was bad, but I don't remember the details. And it's interesting because like my mom remembers all of it. And I feel
Mm.
like at the time I was just like, what? You seem so upset about this. I don't understand why you're so upset. But looking back, I understand why she was so upset because she was just like, I can't believe these people are treating my daughter this way. And I can see her being traumatized before my eyes. And how difficult that must have been for her. Um, so I was kind of like at that time I didn't remember it because I was dealing with like a dissociation. I was just dissociating during a lot of these things, and dissociation is something that my main character deals with a lot.
Mm.
And at the time that I first started writing it, I'm just like, oh, this seems like an interesting thing that I can write into my story. And I didn't realize that I had been dealing with it.
Wow. Yeah.
Because it's kind of like dissociation is this weird thing of just like you don't remember what had happened. And it's like I remember like when I was a kid and like a teenager, I was like watch Jason Bourne, and I was like, this is so ridiculous. How can he just be like a CIA? He's like a CIA agent, but he's like his brain. He just doesn't remember his background as a CIA agent. This is so silly. And then growing up, I'm just like, I don't even just remember like going to school. So
Mm.
it's not that much of a stretch.
Yeah.
But I really thought it was a stretch for a while.
You just Jason Bourned all your trauma. You just
Exactly.
Jason Bourned it.
Exactly. But like for a while, it's like, oh, I need to try and remember all of these things. Like, I don't really need to try and remember it. My brain is protecting me for a reason.
Mm.
And
Yes.
I feel like the most rewarding thing about writing this book is that I've seen some reviews from people who have dissociation, and they said that it was something that they hadn't seen represented like in like a teen book before, and that they felt really seen by it. So I was really just
Mm.
happy that people identified with that.
Wow.
Man, that's beautiful. It's interesting. I mean, we mentioned this on the show before too, of like the
Mm.
things you learn about yourself while you're writing these stories,
Mm.
the things that you didn't realize that you were, that your brain shut off. And sometimes it's for the best, sometimes not so much, but like it's this beautiful thing of like almost being able to heal yourself through your characters, even though they're not you, but you can watch how they handle these things. And
Mm.
um story is just one of those beautiful magical things that can help us, and seeing that other people are reading it and seeing themselves in it and being like, yes.
Mm.
I mean, that's got to be just the best feeling.
It really is. And like I feel like having like like people comment and review stuff like that, it really cancels out a lot of the bad stuff because all I really wanted was for like to see someone who was like a kid in my position. They're just like, wait, I don't really see books about people who look like me. It makes me feel excluded and like my
Mm.
experiences aren't valid. Just a couple people who could see themselves in books And like in my book, that was basically it. Like there can be all the bad reviews in the world and they can say all the bad things because I realized at this point that they will. Um,
Mm.
just kind of being okay with that and realizing I've reached the people that I need to reach.
Damn, that was like, you know what? That is just like a truth in life in general that I'm realizing. Once you find your own truth about like what you stand for and what you want to write and who you want to be, I'm realizing the older I get, the less fucks I give. Like less and less fucks
Oh
given
yeah.
about
Yeah.
all the, like you said, that you don't care about the negative reviews because you've written what's like so true and so powerful in your heart. And it's like this shield of like, because the people who would review that negatively, they're not our people. Yeah. They're like the exact opposite. So it's kind of like such a powerful place to wind up in life, I feel, when you're just like, you know yourself, you know what you stand for. And like the people who resonate with that, that's everything. They're the ones who like are going to be touched by it. And yeah, I just think it's so beautiful to hear.
Thank you. Like, I feel like I'm saying that, but it's not always easy to live that.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
feel like what makes it a little bit easier is having some levity. And I feel like you guys have brought some of that levity into my life. Like, Angela, I don't know if you know, but like just your online presence of just like, you're always just so goofy. And I remember like I was watching this like video of you and you're just in a bookstore and you're like looking at all the titles and you're just like imitating what the voices of the characters on the cover would be like. And I was just like laughing out loud. And it's just like, usually I'm just like showing face looking at my phone. And it's just like I was literally laughing out loud, just like at all of these like funny little characters you were like voicing. And that means a lot because sometimes, I don't know, just like being like debuting as an author, it can be just like this like not really fun things that are happening. But you really bring that levity and like humor. So I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm getting teary eyed because I'm not gonna like I've had a like not that been a bad couple days, but it's just been I've been feeling really off about like being online and being a debut author and all of these things. And so hearing that means the world. Because sometimes you feel like, you're just doing all these things and none of it really matters. It's not gonna, push the dial any further in your way, but really I only do these things because of that, like for my friends and for the community. And like I almost, not that I don't care about publishing, but I love the writing community so much more than publishing. And so to hear that I made you laugh at all, just that's it. Okay, perfect. I'm back. So thank you. Thank you for that.
Yes, I want to second that as well because I completely agree. And I want to add that I think the reason why Angela's content is so relatable and laughable is it's like, I feel like when people are just being slapstick, it doesn't resonate with me. But it's like, I read a quote the other day that was like, you never know, like, how much hardness it caused to become so soft. Something like that. Like a person like, because I feel like you see the deep, you see the heavy. And it's like those comedians, those people that when they're able to find, like you said, the levity in that, that's what really hits, like it's the ability to like laugh at death. Like, like we're just lolling out. I mean, we're all going to die, right? But like, we might as well laugh about it where we can, and yeah, I think it's just the community keeps me sane as well, because it's definitely tough in this industry. And I was thinking about that lady that you were saying who, when you were like looking into queering and she was just like, gave you all that information. And I was just like, those are the people I'm here to meet, because you know what? There's people who would have done the opposite and they would have hid that from you, that scarcity mindset. I just love those people who take you and they're like, I want to share this with you. I want to bring you, like, here's the table. If you want this, I know how hard it is. Here's all the resources I can share with you. And those kinds of stories make me the happiest because it's like what I really love about this community,
Exactly. Like building that community is so important. And when I decided like to not pursue writing after high school, I went into like community arts, and I was able to like start like helping people who had never written before, and just kind of like do like a community thing, like, hey, let's write for the first time. If you haven't written before, let's see how it works out. And that's how I ended up doing some of these mental health anthologies that I published. And it was kind of incredible because like I started doing that like years and years ago, and it would just be like people who had never written before, and they're just like, I don't know how to do this. Some people on the first try would write these amazing poems and short stories. I'm just like, you've never written before. Oh my god! Like, I just feel like so much because I'm just like, I've been trying to write something good, and you just did that on the first try. That's amazing. But then we collected all these amazing stories by people who are just been, staying within our community for like years, and that's how I started doing that. And then like that community was great, but I feel like when I was able to translate that community to like, okay, novel writing and people who are doing it professionally, and get on Twitter more and like start communicating with people like through like pitch wars and like all of that other stuff. That's how I first got motivated. And I really appreciate your guys' relationship in terms of motivating each other, because I see you guys, you're just like, okay, we're in a competition right now. We're trying to write as much as possible. We need to see who's going to be finished their draft first. I love that. I just think it's really cool and like super inspiring.
Yes, no, it makes it fun too. It gives you a purpose and somebody to talk shit to you, and so that community it's just the best. I love beating Melanie so much. It just brings me joy.
And honestly, like a lot of times, like honestly, the last couple of weeks, I was like a dry well. I was a dry well. Nothing was coming out of that well. I had the period from hell, and I was like, why am I even doing this? Why did I think I could do this? And then old Montoya dropped. She's just like, I've written 20,000 words. And I was like, fuck, well, now I have to catch. And like just sometimes I shit talk Angela just to like have that accountability of like, I like need to like make my friend proud because now I promised. The like social kind of tricking myself with peer pressure. It's been like priceless having that community and just shit talking each other into, there's a lot of reasons for both of us that like we would be frozen to write our next books, and the shit talking has somehow unfrozen me. It always does. It's just
I love that. Yeah. Honestly, I'm not that competitive, so I just admire that.
No.
But like, I'm sensitive, so I could not feel people being like, I'm so ahead of you. I'd be like oh. But it's nice to see that you guys are doing it.
The truth
Okay,
is...
we'll be gentle with you. We'll be gentle with you. Now we know.
No,
you're nice to have that community.
Yeah. Sorry, go.
Like just in terms of like just doing like, sprints with people where you're like, okay, I got this many words done. This is great. And like, I'm really glad that I'm in your Discord community now, so I can like be a part of that, share my progress. So that's awesome.
Yes, I love our Discord, and it is funny because one of the tabs is like shit talk, and the shit talk, there is no shit talk. I've been waiting, but everything is like, yay, you did that. Oh, good job. I'm like, where's the shit talk here? But it's so sweet, and everybody's so excited for each other that I'll let it pass. It's fine. You guys can all.
I have Discord. A confession to make. I'm actually one of the least competitive people I know. I think like I just know if I shit talk, it will like cheer other people on. So you're welcome in this space. We can be non-competitive and shit talking to just get everyone going. Because I realized the other day, like I literally, when I shit talk, I actually just want us both to finish our manuscripts. Like, I'll be stoked if you beat my ass and we get a new book out. Oh, there's the rabbit again.
Yeah, he escaped and he was just like trying to bite my feet. So that was fun.
Freaking Charlie. Charlie is just a troublemaking rabbit, man. Wait, is there a difference? Is there a difference between a rabbit and a bunny?
No, there's no difference at all.
Okay.
There's like rabbit, bunny, and then hare. Like the wild.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Mm.
Okay, well, let me ask you a few more questions,
Okay.
not about bunnies. So what has been the best part of this journey so far for you?
It's definitely been meeting like awesome people like you guys for sure. Honestly, like I don't know, like just in like regular life, I was just like, okay, I'm telling people like I'm a writer, and they're just like, cool, but like they're not like, hey, let's exchange manuscripts, let's talk about this, and like meeting people and doing that has just been like it really accelerated my writing process a lot because that's when I was like, okay, I'm in 2020, I was like writing at home. And I just, that's when I kind of like accelerated, like, okay, I'm going to get started with my querying, doing pitch wars and all that stuff. So having community has been like the best thing for me, like in terms of just like, and then just like being so proud of like all the amazing things that you guys are doing. Like honestly, it's been great. Like and like Angela, in terms of like, I'm so excited for Sinner's Isle and like the fact that you're doing it with like Nicola Yoon's imprint, like
Mm.
great thing.
It's yeah, it boggles my I kid you not. So she follows me obviously on Instagram and TikTok, and if whenever I see that she likes something I do, I'm like, how do you know me? Every time I like get shocked. I'm like,
Is she
oh,
your
okay,
editor?
wait.
Isn't she your editor?
Yeah, well, she's like a yeah, yes.
Okay.
But I get starstruck every single time. Like,
Yeah.
that's Nicola Yoon. Yeah, so
No,
thank
I
you.
totally get it. I totally get it. Like the author of Tiny Pretty Things, Danielle Clayton, she like started like following me and like liking my stuff, and it's still kind of crazy for me.
Yeah.
That's big. That's big. I'm gonna go watch that show because I always like pass by it, and I started watching like 30 seconds of it one day. Now I have to go watch it. It's
Yeah.
official.
I had it on my list and I somehow completely forgot it. You know, like sometimes you add too much stuff to your list and then it's like you forget to check what's down the bottom. Who knows at this point? I'm so glad you reminded me because when I saw the promo for that, I was like, oh, this looks amazing. And then I completely blanked out about it. So, yes, I love having it back on my radar.
But just be aware, it's kind of like a they don't really warn you because it's Netflix, but it's like Euphoria level stuff that's going on.
Oh,
Really?
okay.
So might be an alone show, but
Oh, yes.
I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. I'm invested. I'm ready. Yeah,
I
sorry.
don't know what euphoria level is. I'm nodding along, but I was like, hang on, I don't think I know that. But now
you don't know
Angela's
you okay.
reaction made me think I definitely don't know it.
It's like a teen show that's like X-rated. It's an HBO teen show. Yeah.
Gotcha. Like kind of
Yeah.
like
My
Skins?
mom,
Yes, Skins, that was the original. I watched that back in the day. Literally that, but more.
Okay. Oh shit. Yeah, I
Yeah.
appreciate the warning. You need to be ready for that level. Like I
Yeah.
I really appreciate the warning because yeah, you're going in knowing it could be anything.
yeah, my mom texted me, was like, have you seen Euphoria yet? And I was like, no, not yet. She was like, there's pee-pees in it.
There's a million PPs in it. There's like probably 50 to 100 PPs.
Well, you know
Lots
what?
of pee.
I'm just gonna say it's about time. There was titties on TV for so long and no PPs. We deserve to see PPs if they're gonna see TTs. I'm like,
True enough, but for the teen show, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because they're teens, but it's just it's all interesting. And I've noticed like a lot of I don't know how it works like European wise, but what's the
I think it's much easier for some European wives. Like I have family in Europe and I like would travel there and like as a kid, they would just have nudity like at like 2 p.m., completely full frontal nudity. They had a dating show where it'd be like, hey, here's me naked, look at it. It was on at 2 p.m.
at 2 p.m.
No, I'm not
yeah.
even kidding.
No, that's it, from what I know, very in line with like Europe. Like they're not shy about nudity and like even just general body image. Like you'll see that like the kids, especially that their skin, they won't be airbrushed. They'll have pimples and like
Yeah.
They won't hide anything about the body. They're very body open. So it's probably jarring when it reaches the other airwaves when we're not used to it.
I love it. Okay, let's bring it back from peepees. Let's bring it back. Okay, bringing it back. Let me think here. Okay, what's next for you? Your book is coming out. Is it next week? When's it?
No. It's June.
Oh, it's
6th.
June. Yes. Okay, yeah. June 6th. So your book's coming up very soon. Are you working on something new in the meantime?
Yeah, so I do have a book too with my publisher currently, and it is from the point of view of one of my characters from my book one, which is super exciting because not everyone gets to do like a sequel, and like I think it's really fun to do a sequel from a different character's point of view because of the fact that this original story was from 3 characters' point of view, and I cut it back to just one character.
Oh, wow.
So it's the love interest of the main character in my book, and he is basically like an anxious teen who is very into music and songwriting, and he has a song go viral, and he's super excited, but then he gets invited to go on like a national tour, and it's like, I'm gonna like die because of all the anxiety and like stage fright that I have. And then he's also like dealing with his like sexuality and like having a family that's not really accepting of that. So kind of like very like Harry Styles themed stuff. Yeah.
Do you have a title? Is the title out yet?
Yes, it's called Under All the Lights.
Love it.
I love
Yes,
that.
adding to Goodreads now. Or
Yes.
Storygraph.
It's on there. It is on there.
Perfect. I'm on it after this. After we're done, I'm on it.
Yeah.
It sounds amazing.
Yes. Thanks,
and as a fellow anxiety person, I love reading about characters with anxiety navigate this world. And I saw that you mentioned about the mental health anthologies stuff. So is mental health like something you generally put into your work? Mental health theme?
Yeah, definitely. Like for my first book, like I talked about how dissociation was like a big theme for the main character. So that's the big one there. And then for the second book, yeah, it's anxiety. And I do have anxiety. So I feel like this character, even though it's a male character, does have a lot more of my features in terms of just like, I feel like it's weird because like in my brain, I'm an extrovert who doesn't have an anxiety, but like I'm actually an introvert who has a lot of anxiety, pretending that I don't. And I finally realized that because for a while I was just like, no, I'm extroverted, and I was like, no, that's not how you're coming across. Be honest about how you're coming across. So I feel like I do have a lot in common with this character in terms of just like, I have my book launch coming up. I'm just like, I'm so excited, but also I'm just like, what if I just pass out?
Yeah. Anxiety sister hug. That's like, seriously, yes, we're related because yeah, that's everything you've said is very relatable. It's like I often think about that. I'm like, yeah, like I have extroverted tendencies, but that's literally something I worry about. What if I pass out when I go to an event because my anxiety is so bad that day? Like that's a real fear.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like it's weird because like I want the attention, but then the attention is like, no, I hate it. It's really weird.
You're speaking to my soul right now. So it's like we have to like, I'm just realizing that there's a reason that yin yang symbol exists. I'm trying to like integrate it in all parts of my life because yeah, I'm not satisfied just being the little cave dweller and not having my work seen and like not seeing people. That makes me miserable. But yeah, like I have to balance how much I choose to see people, what I'm capable of, and respect my boundaries so I don't have another nervous breakdown because we don't want that. But yeah, it's literally like, I saw another cool quote the other day that was just like, I only extrovert with people who feel like sunshine. And I was like, that's it. That's how I want to live from now on because the other people, to someone like with my brain, like it feels like the air is out of your lungs. It feels so intense. But some people come and they like shine their sunlight on you and it doesn't feel the anxiety can fill the room or it can be in a small box somewhere else. And sometimes people help you put it in a box and put it further away, And those are the people I keep close to me now. So we can pass out together at the bookish events. We need more. This is why we need anxiety rep, especially in the bookish world. Because, yeah, like a lot of us are that way inclined.
Exactly. Like I'm kind of the happy either way. So like a lot of people show up, I'll deal with it. If no one shows up, I'll just kind of be like, oh, thank God. But no one's here. I just relax. Yeah. People always post those like really like they're just like so sad because people don't show up to the book launch. I'm just like, I can just have a conversation with my interviewer and we'll just like take a picture and go. Like
That's relatable. That is so relatable. Because yeah, I was thinking about where I'll do a signing, and I was thinking the same thing. Like if no one comes, it might be okay.
yeah, like I have this full cake, I can take some of it home.
I hate to break it to you, my darlings, but that is not going to happen. So take your CBD oils that day because there will be a line for both of you. I prophesy this, and I know this in my bones because you're both way too fabulous, and the rooms will be full. There will be fighting for forward seating.
Oh, oh yes. Charlie will be up front humping everybody.
Oh my God. No, he's not invited, unfortunately. I will show him a live stream later. But it should be fun because we're gonna have like a dance therapy exercise that we do before the interview, which I thought would be fun because we did something similar at my actual workplace where I did like the writing workshops. So this is like, let's do some fun like therapeutic exercises because like using dance as a form of healing is a part of my book. So I'm like, let's just do that. And it'll just be like a nice way to relax before we get into the interview. So
I love that.
That's genius.
Yeah. Oh, seriously, amazing to hear. That's like one of the like underrated tactics that people don't often talk about to manage anxiety stuff is like shaking therapy or dance therapy. Like the effect on the body is wild. Like literally me in a toilet sometimes just like shaking my whole body out or like dancing to BTS in the apartment before I go somewhere. It's like that is real. What a nice way to open it to like relax everyone.
That's so smart. I love that so much. I know that just excited Melanie. She just about jumped out of her seat, I saw.
I did. It's not something most people know about. And so like sometimes like I have a lot of holistic stuff that I use to manage like my anxiety stuff. And yeah, like I love hearing when other people are like, sometimes people are like, what's shake therapy? Like, what's this? Or like, but yeah, like there's these other things you can do to relax your body. And yeah,
exactly.
I love
dance
like
out.
An event where there's more and more awareness. And even like when we went to a concert recently, there was actually like rooms people can go if they've become overwhelmed at the concert to like decompress. And it's just nice that
interesting.
Yeah, I'd never seen that before. Like
cool.
a desensitization room where it was like quiet and dark and like chill.
They should have that for everything. Like just everywhere you go. Like at the grocery store.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I want to come to your book events.
I'm hoping that I can do a live stream because like I'm a little bit unaccessible here in Canada, but hopefully I'll have some live stream stuff. That should be nice. And yeah, honestly, like I'm not a professional dancer, but I do dance every day just for my health, just to kind of like Melanie, what you're saying, just kind of like get out all the anxiety. And it's not anything professional. It's like for my book, I would be dancing and like listening to music and I would visualize all this choreography that I cannot do. And so that's kind of what I put into my book. I don't know how it happened. Like, and I feel like it was kind of serendipitous because I feel like I was able to beautifully describe all this choreography that had to do with like the themes of the book. But it's like I don't do that. I'm just like in my house, just like yeah, like, you know, nothing that fancy. But like it's so therapeutic. Yeah,
100%. Like me dirty dancing against the doorpost to WAP.
Oh, record that, please. Record that.
I'll have to.
Okay, somehow our time again. We've hit the mark. Okay, I have one last question. Do you have a favorite quote, either from your book or just something that you live by that you can share with us?
Sure. So, my namesake, Maya Angelou, has all of the quotes. It's kind of insane how many quotable things Maya Angelou has said. But one of the things that I've heard by her is what other people think of you is none of your business. And I really relate to that because as someone who has experienced bullying as a kid, people had a lot of things to say about me. And when I was able to be like, I don't really need to be thinking about what these people are saying about me, especially while I'm not there, because that's my time to relax and try and decompress. It's a really valuable thing. And I feel like that also applies to like writing because people are going to be in the writing community. They're going to be doing amazing things that you'll be seeing on the internet of like all of their amazing things. And trying not to think about all that, trying not to think about all the group chats of where people might be being catty, just staying in your own lane, being supportive of people that you know, and like kind of just not thinking about the outside chatter. I think that's been really helpful for me at least.
That's it right there. Well, obviously you are now our favorite person in the world. We have spent so much time and it went by so fast. It boggles my mind again. So Maya, we just wish you all the success in the world. You know, I just can't wait to see you and this book soar. I'm just so excited for you. And so thank you for coming on here. It's been a long time coming.
Awesome. Thank you to you both for just being like so inspiring. Like I feel like I go on social media, I'm not feeling that inspired, but then I see you guys. It really helps every day. So just keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. That's so beautiful. It's very encouraging to hear. And like, yeah, I think like one of the reasons why we kept doing the podcast was people like you who like made us think like our little crap talk and banter was something worth continuing. So yeah, we loved having you on and you're welcome back anytime. The three of us can apparently talk the house down and I live for it.